Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to the channel. My name's Mark and I'm a rehabilitation specialist. If it's your first time here, this channel is dedicated to getting sports people back to the sport that they love by giving you some options if you've been injured to get you out of pain and get you back to your sport quickly and effectively and as efficiently as possible. So do give it a subscribe if that sounds like something that you'd like to keep up to date with as my videos come up. Today we're going to look at deadlifting, how you can deadlift to avoid back pain and also with back pain, as well as why we would do it for other injuries as well. So let's get going then. So deadlifting or hip hinging, loading the back of your body, your posterior chain is really important when it comes to all rehab of the lower limb as well as for the back. So a hinge is really important if you want to be deadlifting, if you want to be kettlebell swinging, if you want to load up that posterior chain and you want to be quick and athletic in your sport. These hip hinges are going to really help you with that and help you get back to sport. So we're going to run through this video and make sure that you can do a hip hinge and therefore a deadlift effectively and efficiently. We're going to look at a 3-point hip hinge. We're also going to have a look at how we can add resistance to a hip hinge and turn it into a deadlift. With loaded backpacks and kettlebells and various other pieces of equipment as we go through this video. But first off, let's get going with a hip hinge, which is the basis of a deadlift. So with a hip hinge, we want to stand nice and tall, pushing your hips back, hinging from the hips. 3 points of contact maintained throughout. Keeping my chin tucked down, so looking at the floor as I'm going down. Pushing my hips back into the bar. Just some soft knees, athletic, ready position, just as you push your knees back to load up those hamstrings. Those 3 points of contact are back of the head, middle of your shoulder blades, and your lower back touching. This means that we are effectively loading up your hamstrings, your glutes, and your back muscles to make sure that those muscles are nice and strong. So just from that front position, feet hip to shoulder width apart, so I usually suggest a position where you're ready to jump as if you were about to take off. And then we're just bending through the hips. Keep looking down, keeping that alignment, chin tucked down all the time. And we're just simply using broom handle, hand between my lower back and the stick, and we're just maintaining that small arch throughout. Shoulders touching, top of my bum touching, back of my head touching. We don't want to hinge too far forward, so if you're starting to lose that more neutral spine position, then just stop. If you are getting any pain, any of your symptoms, then just go as far as you can comfortably. As your body becomes more tolerant of this movement, then you'll get better at it and you'll have less pain. So we're just hinging from the hip using that stick to give us those reference points. So from there, we can get rid of the stick. Getting rid of the stick is a bit more challenging because it's going to make us work harder for our proprioceptive ability, so our body's ability to know where joints are in space. So just simply by trying to maintain that position without any contact, it's going to give you a better proprioceptive feedback. We can then look at adding some resistance to this. So I use a kettlebell at the hips behind your back. It's a really good way of working. I'll put a link in the description below for one of the kettlebells that I recommend, so do check it out. If you haven't got any resistance, do use that. The other option as well, if you don't want to spend out on a kettlebell, is a weighted rucksack, as we've talked about in other videos as well. So the handcuff or the prisoner deadlift with that weight behind our back. The good thing about that is it allows us to open up our chest, keeping our shoulders back because our hands are behind our back. Stops us wanting to roll forwards through the chest and keeps us nice and tall and elongated. This will then get progressed on into more of a Romanian deadlift, so the weight in front, still hinging from the hips, still shifting our hips backwards, but this time slowly lowering the weight towards the floor. Really effective way to eccentrically load the hamstrings. So again with these, we're just going as low as we feel comfortable and then firing your glutes to push yourself up nice and tall. So nice and controlled down, bit more explosive on the way up. If you're struggling with that explosive on the way up, then again, just control that rise back to the beginning. Once we've gone through that, we're then looking at that more traditional deadlift. So the more traditional deadlift involves more of a bend through the knees. Again, ideally with a kettlebell or a barbell, something that's just off the floor. And if you need to, put a block underneath the kettlebell just to raise it up so you can maintain that neutral position. And that raise can be as high as you need to maintain that position. As you get stronger and better, then you can slowly take away blocks to make it more challenging and work you through a greater range of motion. With that kettlebell deadlift, probably want to have your feet a little bit wider than a traditional deadlift, just so you can simply get that kettlebell to the floor, shoulders back, chin tucked down, driving up. Again, backpack is a good option if you don't want to invest in a kettlebell, but kettlebells are great for loads of bits and pieces. So kettlebell swings, again, we're hinging from the hip. That initiation is a hip hinge. As the hips go backward, the weight goes down. Once we get into a position where we feel that we've gone far enough, you're then exploding up and through, allowing the weight to become a little bit unweighted halfway up and then returning back down. Trying to link them together is a good way to get that explosive power that you need for sport. And hopefully you can see how that's really effective, getting your heart rate up to start with, but also very effective at loading your hamstrings and that hip hinge as those hips go back. So there we go, ladies and gents. Nice progressive way to get from an unweighted hip hinge right through to some kettlebell swings with that nice explosive movement. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If it's given you value, please subscribe for more content like this. Apart from that, check out the description below for the kettlebells and the kit that I'm wearing at the moment. If you like any of that stuff, please use the link below for a 10% discount. And apart from that, ladies and gents, I'll see you in the next video.